What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tuesday Tips and Tricks. I'm your host, Max at WeVideo, and as always, we've got another great episode lined up for you today. Shout out to everyone joining us from Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We also have, before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, as well as hit the bell in the top right corner so you get an update anytime WeVideo releases a new video. We've also got our Tuesday Tips and Tricks landing page where you can go back and watch any previous episode, as well as subscribe for email updates each Thursday for the following Tuesday's episode. As I mentioned earlier, today's episode, fantastic episode number 54, we'll be going over how to create instructional GIFs. With that, let's bring on our co-host, Tyler Wall.
What's up, Max? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, today we're going to show you guys a little bit of instructional GIFs. So how to do some cool callouts on a tutorial type video or a webcast of sorts. So we'll hop into that here in a sec. But if you guys have questions throughout, as always, just put them in the chat and we'll be sure to get to those by the end of the episode.
Awesome.
Cool. Want to hop into the timeline? Check this out.
Let's do it.
Right on. All right, so I'm in WeVideo. We've got today a screen recording of our actual website. So we're going to show you guys how to do some callouts. As editors, often we need to bring attention to something on screen, right? So we're going to show you a couple options of how you can go about doing that, and then get into some more advanced ways to really highlight those certain areas. So to get this screen recording, all I did was use our quick record tool. If you guys aren't familiar with that, I'm going to briefly just go over that. So if you hit this record button over here, you can actually use your webcam, the screen, and depending on your plan, you can actually do both at the same time as well. So for this section that we did today, I just used the screen recording and I recorded a bit of WeVideo's actual website. So for our demonstration today, we just want to show you how to sign up for our Tuesday Tips and Tricks newsletter. All right, so I'm going to briefly play this and we'll show you some of the callouts on screen. All right, so just hit the space bar and that will begin playing. So you see these red circles that are highlighting the areas we want you to click on.
Love it.
And we've got some animations that we found from the stock media library that really, make this a little bit more engaging. So a couple options of how to really highlight different sections and take our viewer through this tutorial of sorts. So even down the line, we might show you how to narrate this, right? So really drive home the process that we're showing on screen with some nice narration.
We did just get a comment, Tyler, saying that it was looking a little blurry. Is that just because the quality's dumbed down a bit because it's in the editor?
Yeah, so we've gone over this before. Everything you see in this preview window is actually a proxy, so it's very blurry at times, depending on the actual clip. But when we go to export this, it's going to be nice and clear. So cool. Just keep that in mind when you're editing in WeVideo, because it is cloud-based, right? We need to kind of dumb down the files that we're viewing just to keep up with the pace and be able to edit things nice and quickly.
Yeah, same thing kind of goes if you've got a lot of videos stacked up on one another and it gets kind of choppy in the playback. That'll all be smoothed out once you export.
Yeah, if you're super worried about what it's going to look like, we could even do a quick export right now and then just download that file and take a look at it to make sure that, hopefully this isn't actually blurry. But depending on how you shot it, it should maintain the quality in the end.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, so let's just show you how to make some of these simple circles that we got on screen. If we go up to our text tab, there's a folder right here called callouts. So we see a couple simple options here. We've got a pointer callout, arrow callout, some arrows, and I actually used an oval for this section. So I'll show you how to use this. You can manipulate it very easily. You just drag, drop onto the timeline, and you'll see this big oval. So like anything in WeVideo, if I double click into the clip editor or hit my pencil icon, I'll be able to make some changes to this circle. So we can change the shape, make it an actual circle, change the stroke size, move it around, and really, just place it where we need to highlight. So we've already got our circle up here. We want you to click on this inspiration tab on our website. And you might be saying, well, that's very hard to see, especially with that blur that we mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty small too. That is all good. What we're going to do at the end of this is export out our whole timeline, and that will give us the ability to go back, use that export, and then scale in and zoom in to some of these sections that we're highlighting later on. So the idea here is basically getting all the sections we want to highlight with our callouts first on this timeline, and then once we're happy with this, we'll go back, edit this, zoom into some of these, hard to see sections, and really make it easier for us to see exactly what's going on. But that's going to make the process a lot easier, so we're not having to, if we're putting animations on these or any other effects, it's going to make it easier to just export this as a flattened video. So something we've gone over in the past, but we'll show you with visuals here in a sec. Hopefully that makes sense to you, exactly what we mean by that.
Cool. And then just kind of point out a couple of reasons as to why you would want to do this, especially you do this with GIFs. If you've received any of WeVideo's emails or just taken a glimpse at our website, you've noticed that we're big advocates of using GIFs, particularly in email, because you can't embed a video in an email.
Right.
Now there's kind of workarounds to that where you can embed what looks like a video and then you click it and it opens in a new link. But if you want some like moving objects in your email itself, GIFs are the only way to do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of uses for GIFs. All right, so let's just continue down. We'll show you a couple of these nice animations that we have. We actually found these in the stock media library. So if you want a bit more advanced or dynamic animations versus just, a circle that's highlighting, some options that you could search for. Let's try arrow. And we have here in the stock media library a couple nice arrows. So cool options here. And a lot of these are actually transparent already. So what I can do is just grab this, drag it on, and boom, that one's already transparent. So I can go into my editor, make the manipulations I want to have this pointing, wherever we want. We can flip it. So that really opens up a lot of options for you within the stock media library to add some cool animations. The hand we found here, I think we just searched for a hand, so let's check.
It's like pointing hand or...
Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
That's a different one, but let's just try hand. Yeah, so play around with some of the searches. If you wanted more realistic, we could use something like this. So let's delete our animated one. Try this guy. Go in, we'll chroma key it. Oop.
Nice.
Yeah, so lots of options within the stock media library, as always. But some of this is really cool if you want to get kind of a realistic look to this. Play around with scaling. Or maybe not a realistic, just a floating hands, Addams Family kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, but the point is there's a lot of great options in here for these pre-made animations that really bring your callouts to life. Cool. So let's go ahead and take this to the next level. We'll go to our exports tab and then make some nice animations and maybe add some voiceover and really bring this tutorial to life. So I'm going to save this, go back into my dashboard, and
We
create a new
just
file.
had a question come in, Tyler, from Kim Clint, asking what the max length of a GIF is. And I think we have it set. There we go. We have it set. WeVideo is 45 seconds.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Let's go ahead and create new, and we'll create a GIF because that's what we want at the end of the day. I actually created a video, and that will bring us into our GIF timeline. Yeah, so to answer the question, you can see here we've put this marker at 45 seconds. So yeah, the limit is 45 seconds, but you probably should keep it even
That's
shorter than that.
45 seconds is really long for a GIF. I would say you probably want to shoot for maybe a max of 15. But
yeah, we always want to keep our GIFs as small as we can in the file size. So length is going to be the #1 contributor to a big file size. If you have 45 seconds, you're going to need to make it very small composition, and we can show you how to do that on export. And the frames per second is going to have to be very low as well. So, and depending on what's happening on screen, that's also going to contribute to the ultimate file size. But
yeah,
as Max mentioned, when we're uploading these to blogs or websites or embedding it somewhere, oftentimes we need it to be around like 5 megabytes, which is pretty small. So let's go ahead and bring in our export. I actually exported the timeline we were working on earlier. So as you can see now, it is on one video track. It's been flattened out, and that opens up a lot of opportunities for us now. So if I play, we can see our call out here, call out there. So now what I can do is start cutting this video. So I'll make a cut here right before our first call out. And a cut after our second one. And this is just going to let me zoom into these sections and give us the whole picture of what we want to see. So I can double click on this section now, scale it in. Again, yes, it does look blurry, but keep in mind this will look much better once we complete the GIF. Save those changes. And we could even make this a smooth zoom in animation if we wanted to.
yeah.
So I could cut that.
Navigate to the animation tab.
Yep. Zero this out. Save those changes. And now we have a animation into that inspiration tab. Shows us to click there. And you would just continue down the line to make this, show off the different areas that you want. It's going to take a bit of tinkering and playing around with to get all these nice and smooth, our animations.
But yeah, then you've got a kind of a step-by-step process on how to find our Tuesday Tips landing page.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Kim just asked, did we just do a screen recording of the WeVideo site? Yes, that's correct. So this is basically a screen recording of us going from our homepage to the Tuesday Tips landing page and then clicking subscribe. And so we filmed it all at once and then put in the pointers and call outs and then exported that and then brought that back into our timeline, which allows us to have basically just one video that we need to edit. And we can then cut it up into different sections and apply the different scaling animations. And then we would export that each as separate GIFs.
Yeah. So at the end of this, once we've animated these to have nice little smooth animations, like Max said, we could cut this up into a step-by-step process, and that could be a companion to a article that shows you step-by-step how to set up the get onto the landing page and put your email in. And then let's go ahead and delete this, and we can actually do a small GIF.
Yeah. So Tyler, can you just point out one more time really quickly how to do the screen recording from the dashboard?
Of course.
Right now? Yeah.
Let me just line this one up. And then we'll export a nice GIF. Zoom in a bit. Boom. All right, so yeah, to get this screen recording, all we did was hit this record tab up here. And then we can choose the webcam, the screen, or depending on your plan, a screen and webcam at the same time. And I can show you the process for this. When you hit next, it's just going to ask you a couple questions. So what mic you want to use for the recording. You have those options here if you have an external mic, or you can just use your built-in.
Yeah, so it'll just recognize the existing mics that you've used.
Yep.
You've used so many, I think.
Yeah.
That list of
yeah, you won't see a list that long. I've got a audio device that's hooked up, so a lot more options there. But that's basically the gist of it. Same with, it'll give you what screen you want to use. So choose your mic, choose your screen. You can use application windows or even just Chrome tabs that you have open. And then hit share. It'll give you a countdown, and then you can actually record what's happening on your screen. So the same can be said, right, about just doing a nice narration. We can go into our dashboard, and this is another way to go about screen recordings is use our create new, and then we can do a recording. Podcast.
Yeah.
And that will set up a similar way to do this. So back to the dashboard. Cool. Lastly, we can also use this narrate tab and do a nice recording. So let's do that and add some narration to our call out. So 3, 2, 1. Hit subscribe, enter your email. I guess that'd be reverse. So if you mess up, this is a good demo here. If you mess up, you can actually record again, and you can preview what you just recorded. So let's go ahead and record again. Hit yes. So first enter your email and then hit the subscribe button. We'll stop. You can preview that or just save our changes, and that's going to add this narration directly into our timeline, which is very nice. We don't even have to worry about bringing it in, dragging it into the editor, and it's going to create a voiceover track right here. So really nice. Now we have this narration down here. If you were exporting a video, that would be very, very good to have, but since this is a GIF, we just want to show you that narrate tab as well. So I'll delete that. And yeah, we can briefly go over exporting GIF. We get any other questions? What is the max length of GIF? Answer that.
I think we're all set.
Cool. All right, let's just briefly go over exporting a GIF. So we'll be asked if we want to title this something else. Set your title. And then we have our export screen for GIFs. So a couple different options that we'll go over briefly. You have the composition size. So we mentioned this before. You're going to want to keep this small if possible. And you do have the option to make it a larger GIF. In the advanced settings, you'll be able to change the frames per second. It's going to default to 10 frames a second. And this is just also going to contribute to the ultimate size of your file. So if you go to 6 frames, it's going to be a lot more choppy. If you go to 25, it's going to look smoother, but the file size will be bigger. So 10 is typically good. That's why we default to that. You can choose your destination, thumbnail, and just hit export. Now, if you were to exceed that limit of the 45 seconds, it will give you a error code, or a warning, I should say, that your file might be too big. So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. All right. Well, we can now give a couple seconds, see if any other questions come in. This is probably a great time to mention. Mark your calendars. July 20th through the 22nd is WeVideo's Creator Community Summit. This is a free-to-attend virtual conference. We did this last year, and it was a huge success. We've got the link to the landing page we'll post in the comments below. You can sign up for that, pre-register now. Perfect. All right, got a couple questions that just came in, Tyler. This first one is from Virginia Daniel. Which track would captions go on versus the video track? So can kind of answer this when we get your timeline back up. You're going to want your captions to be on the topmost track. So if I'm going to add captions to this GIF or video we just recorded like above, then let's say the video track, the main kind of picture, is going to be on video 1, and then we do captions on video 2. But if you have more layers, then just make sure that the topmost track is what the captions are on.
Right. So to do captions, we can go into text tab, static, and just add a subtitle. And like Max said, just keep in mind, the layering of your tracks. So text will go into video tracks. We can retitle these to match what's on each track.
Yeah. And then kind of a question following that from Gary Schrager. Can you move a video track up or down? Sometimes I wish I could move an entire track down below other tracks. So right now you cannot. In order to do that, you'll have to basically highlight everything in that track and then move it up and then move what you want to be on the other track down. But this is a feature that we're looking to hopefully add very soon.
Right. It's a question we get quite often, actually. So stay tuned, hopefully soon on our timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, the quick way to do it right now is just highlighting what's here and then dragging and switching that way.
Awesome. Then next question from Kim. What other things besides arrow could we use in the stock media? Kim, maybe you could elaborate if this is just in reference to creating callouts or if it's because there's a ton of different things you can do in the stock media, but I'm going to assume this is related to callouts, in which case the pointing hand like this above is one that we like to use. Any kind of highlighting circles, highlighting squares are great as well. Another thing that we didn't do, which is another possibility, is you could use just the shape and then decrease the transparency to kind of do like a highlighting function. So a flashlight could be a good opportunity for that, or a magnifying glass.
Yeah, you can get creative in your searches. So let's try
Maybe magnifying glass would be a good one to show.
Yeah, that's a kind of cool one.
But yeah, it looks like, yeah, so for everything. Yeah, so if you're just trying to use stock media in general, the world is your oyster. We have over 1 million different video files, audio files. You'll find that it's great for sound effects. If you're looking to create kind of like animated subscribe things, we've done an episode on that. I mean, Tyler, you could quickly do a search there. So like subscribe to my YouTube channel, we'll pull up some cool options. And then there's great nature clips. I find I use stock media a lot for when I do vacation videos with me and my buddies, and I find like simple things that I definitely didn't take video of but are nice to add, like a plane taking off or a plane landing.
Right.
Or just scenic shots that I couldn't have taken myself. So like drone shots are a good thing to look for. So I can often find great video clips of just the place that I visited by searching that.
Yeah, it's a great way to fill in any missing video clips, like you said, you didn't take on your trip or you didn't think about. Often you can just find them in here. Here's a couple of the subscribe buttons, like buttons. So a bunch of pre-made animations that you can just drag and drop over your clips, and pretty straightforward. It's easy to use these.
Oh, that's very cool. All right.
Yeah, so that's a great one.
Yeah. And then last question here from Linda Holden. Are you working on being able to reverse clips? This is a feature that our development team is aware of and hopefully looking to add soon. Awesome. Well, I think that's it for questions. You have anything else to add, Tyler?
No, this video finished. I just want to quickly show on the export page how small that file actually ended up being. So let's go into my exports. And we can see our GIF. So with GIFs, the quality you might notice is a little bit worse because we want to keep it small, obviously, but it's nice and clear compared to our preview window, and the actual size is very, very small. So this is something that we're going to be able to do, just upload wherever we like and keep the load times down, which is ideally the goal.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. As always, I'd like to thank you for providing all of our questions and feedback. That's what we rely on to make this show great and come up with topics each week. So if you have questions, let us know in our Facebook business community, ask us on Twitter. We'll take a look and create episodes for you. With that, thanks again and happy creating. We'll see you all next week.
See you guys.